There you go.
ASAP. Bye-bye.
To have that. Yeah. Okay. Phone, don't I? Oh.
All right, we got the cover. So, all right.
Kelly. Excuse me. Okay, sorry. I guess she just wants, you know. Oh. Wouldn't that?
Just take your time.
Got these.
Oh, that's like a whole roll.
Yeah, Megan wears it around the wrist.
Yeah, is that Megan's the real deal.
Yeah.
She is. Well, thank you.
All right, so both parties know, you don't have to ask me to approach the witness. You all have been practicing. I know you're not gonna approach the witness just to walk around. The other thing is, defense, if the state is showing a witness something and you want to get up to see what it is, you can move around without asking permission. And if you all would remain seated when making objections, it makes it easier for the court reporter to hear.
Yes, Sean.
All right.
I will do my best.
Oh, no, we're gonna do it.
No.
You know, Judge Noah would start fining people for standing.
That's just fine by me.
All right, he would fine $100 in infraction.
Does he know how much I make? I'm not I'm just a humble state's lawyer, Judge.
Oh, hey, he did it for everybody.
Did he really?
Yeah, he did. And then he would make everybody, he would ask the jury, he would persuade the jury to start jury at 8 a.m. And if any party were late, he would fine you $150 for every minute you were late.
You're kidding.
And I told him, if I'm gonna be late, there's a good reason for me being late, and I'm just not gonna show because I can't afford your
I can't do it
$150
either.
an hour.
I can't afford that.
I'm like, I'm just gonna be gone.
And then, Judge, we'll just go right into our first witness.
Okay.
We'll waive.
Oh, you're gonna waive the opening?
We will.
Okay.
Mhm.
Well, I guess I'm stuck then, huh?
You are. In the best way.
I haven't done that in probably 10 years. I did it once as a prosecutor because the defense was exceptionally good. He would promise all kinds of things and then screw us later. Okay.
And then, Judge, should we just invoke the rule when we get started, or?
Oh, we can invoke the rule once I call the case.
Okay, perfect.
The jury has have all of them.
I think we have them. We'll find out. Okay.
Okay, waiting for her to,
Yes, I
and
have
then we'll be good to go.
some civil court.
I still don't.
You missed our opening.
Oh, yeah, the jury's still in the room though, so that means they missed it too.
They were there, spirit.
It's waving of.
Wow, interesting.
Who knows? You know?
You know,
Never in my career have I done that. Never have I ever.
and then you take a swig.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I did take a drink. You're right. That's hilarious.
Present what?
Yes.
Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Love it.
No, yeah.
Yeah. She's sending me everything.
We're done.
I mean.
Well, Norma, I guess Roger Renee Jones. State versus Alexander Rodriguez. Can I have parties announced?
Zach Dunn and Rick Pena for the state.
Clarissa Fernandez Pratt and Marissa Giovanco for the defendant. We're ready.
All right, and are you Mr. Rodriguez? All right, I've been informed that the jurors are here. Both parties ready to proceed?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's bring the jurors in.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm running down the street. Okay. What does that mean?
It should be unlocked right now. It should be unlocked. Open it.
Indictment on the side. To prove that like this. My computer.
Whatever.
Sorry, what? No. I'll let them know. All right, thank you.
Hold on, that's the one until I announce you.
All right, so just before we begin. If the state is waiving their opening, my understanding of the law is the defense, you're not allowed to do an opening until the state has closed their case in chief. All right, okay,
It's my understanding as well.
all right. All right, let's bring them in.
All right, for the jury.
Oh, no, please be seated. We stand for you all. Please be seated. All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, before I swear you in for this trial, what I want to let you know is I know that sometimes people will like to take notes. I always discourage note-taking by jurors, and the reason why I discourage it is because if for some reason you're deliberating and somebody has a question about what someone said, and you want to pull out your notes and say, well, this is what I wrote down, You are not the official record keeper of what's said. The person who's the official record keeper is the court reporter. So it's best is that you actively listen, because even if you do take notes, you're not going to be allowed to take them back with you to deliberate anyway. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
All right, with that being said, if you all could raise your right hand, I'm going to give you the oath that's related to this specific trial. Do you and each of you solemnly swear that in the case before you, State of Texas versus Alexander Rodriguez, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God?
Yeah.
All right, you can lower your hand. State, you may proceed.
True bill of indictment. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, the grand jury of Bexar County, state of Texas, duly organized and paneled and sworn as such at the May term AD 2024 of the 226th Judicial District Court of said county in said court at said term, do present in and to said court that in the county and state aforesaid and anterior to the presentment of this indictment. Count one. Sexual abuse of child, continuous, victim under 14. Alexander Rodriguez, hereinafter referred to as defendant, is then and there during a period that was 30 or more days in duration, to wit, on or about the 11th day of November AD 2013 through the 11th day of November AD 2017, when the defendant was 17 years of age or older, commit 2 or more acts of sexual abuse against Emily penetrate the anus of Emily. Number 2, the defendant did intentionally and knowingly cause the sexual organ of the defendant to contact the anus of Emily, engage in sexual contact with Emily. Touch the part of the genitals of the defendant with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. Count 2. Indecency with child sexual contact. On or about the 14th day of November AD 2014, Alexander Rodriguez did engage in sexual contact with Emily with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person. Count 3. Indecency with child sexual contact. On or about the 15th day of November AD 2015, Alexander Rodriguez did engage in sexual contact with the intent to arouse or gratify the sexual desire of any person against the peace and dignity of the state.
All right, to each of those counts, how do you plead? All right, you may be seated. State, would you like to present opening statements?
Your Honor, at this time, the state will waive opening, and the state would like to, with the court's permission, call its first witness.
All right.
The witness has correctly identified the defendant. Now, Emily, where did you grow up? Where have you lived?
I'm here in San Antonio.
Here in San Antonio. And who do you live with?
My mom's father and siblings.
And what is your stepfather's name?
Rebecca. So, 13 and the baby is 4.
Now you said the boys are 13. Are they twins?
Yes.
So have you always lived in that house or no?
No.
No, where have you always lived in San Antonio?
Yes.
And do you have any other family in San Antonio? Who do you have in San Antonio?
My grandparents and great grandparents on both sides of the family.
Have you ever stayed at your grandparents' house?
Yeah.
Are those in San Antonio?
Mhm.
Now, with respect to why we're here today, do you know why we're here today? And I'd like to talk about the relationship with your father, Alexander Rodriguez. Can you tell me the first time that something off or different happened that you can remember?
I remember one time, I was laying there and I had my back towards him, and I felt something on my back. And I guess I didn't know what it was because it was the first time. Yeah.
Now, you said you were laying there. We're just going to take this super slow. When you say laying there, what house were you in?
In my grandma's house.
The same grandma that lives in San Antonio.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Mhm.
Now, again, when you're saying laying there, you're at your grandma's house. What room were you in?
I was in his room.
You were in his room. And I apologize. When you say his room, who is him? Who is he?
My dad.
Your dad's. So how often would you stay at your grandmother's house with your father?
Every other weekend.
Every other weekend. And when you stayed every other weekend, who all would be in the home?
Him, his brother, and my grandma, Christina, and Steve. I think that's about it.
And who is Steve?
I would say her husband.
Your grandma's husband.
Yes.
So it'd be the 5 of you, and this would happen, like you said, every other weekend.
Yes.
Now, how many stories is the home?
1.
It's a 1-story home. And for every other weekend, would you always sleep in your father's bedroom?
Yes, I know that's first. I slept with my grandma, and then at some point I slept with my dad.
And how big is the bed? Best guess.
Like probably queen, maybe.
Not exactly sure, but it's an okay size.
Yeah.
And does it kind of come right up to the wall?
Mhm.
It does. And with the bed positioning up against the wall, would you be the one sleeping closest to the wall or further away from the wall?
Also,
Closest. Now, in the beginning, before anything started to change or shift, when you would sleep over at your grandma's house, would anything happen in the very beginning?
No.
But you mentioned this instance is the first time you can remember it changing. Now, I want to go back to what you said. You said your back was towards him. So you were facing which way?
the wall.
You're facing the wall. And how do you know that he was in the bed with you?
because every night he would walk into the bedroom with me.
And did you see him walk in, or so you knew it was him?
Mhm.
So you're laying in the bed facing the wall, he comes in. And then did it happen automatically? Did some time pass? Help me better understand.
Yes, one time would pass, and typically he would say something, I guess to make sure I was asleep.
Now, would you respond when he would ask you things? And what kind of things would he ask or say, to the best of your memory?
I'd either say my name or make a noise or say he loved me.
And would you ever acknowledge him or say something back? Why not?
So I didn't want to. Scary.
And you said you felt something. Where did you feel something on your person, on your body?
The first time it was just on my back, and I did like my lower back, and I don't know what it was.
And you're not quite sure what it was, right?
Mhm.
Do you remember any sensory details, how it felt?
Like what?
And after you felt something wet, did you do anything?
Okay. Me, yes or no, not shaking the heads and ups. You can just answer yes or no, okay? Thank you.
So for the rest of that night, to the best of your memory, did anything else happen?
No.
Now, the next time that you were at grandma's house, did something happen the next day? Did it take a while? Kind of what was the next time something happened that you can remember?
Can't remember exactly chronologically, but I just know that one time, like, there, he progressed more with he did to me.
Now, when you say things would progress, what do you mean by that?
Do you want me to say like exactly?
Yeah, so to the best of your memory, with respect to things happening multiple times afterwards, you said things were progressing. What was happening?
Sometimes he would have me turn to the wall, and he would lower my pants and to where my bottom showed, and he would
So let's just break that up. So you said he would take off your pants to where your bottom was showing. How did you know that it was him that was taking off your pants?
because he would be the one going to bed with me.
And would he talk to you like he had done the first time?
Object to leading.
All right, that will be sustained.
You knew it was him.
Yes.
Object to leading.
Sustained.
And when he pulled down your pants, what did he do next?
He would put his thing in my butt.
Now, when you say his thing, what do you mean?
His private part.
Is that the part that he would use to go pee?
Object to leading.
Sustained.
And Judge, I'm sorry, if we could just instruct the witness to weigh if I object to not answer the question and if the jury could disregard.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll disregard the last question and last answer. When attorneys make an objection, just stop speaking because they're letting me know that they want me to make a ruling on something. And once I make a ruling, if you don't understand what my ruling is, just ask me and I'll let you know whether you can continue to talk about whatever question was asked, okay? And then continue to make sure that your voice is up so that everyone can hear, all right? All right,
Your Honor, may we briefly approach?
yes. All right, state you may proceed.
Emily, you had mentioned his private. Were you facing the wall?
I'm gonna object to leading.
That'll be overruled.
Were you facing the wall?
Yes.
And you said in your butt. What do you use that body part for exactly?
The poo.
And is that where his private went?
Yes, but it didn't go like exactly in the hole.
But did it make contact with your hole?
Yes.
And how often would this happen?
As often.
And after his private would touch your hole, what would happen after that?
I would just lay there and just kind of like wait for it to stop. And then sometimes I'd be facing him and he'd put my hand on his thing.
Now, when you say put your hand on his thing, I'm sorry to ask, but what do you mean by his thing?
And then
Is that the same body part that touched your hole? You said your butthole? And when you touched his penis, how did it feel?
wet.
Okay. What, do you remember anything else about it?
It was hairy.
Was it soft? Was it hard? Anything else you remember?
Mm,
You remember the hairy, and you said it was wet?
mm.
If you can remember, when you say touch his penis, just with one finger, with the whole hand, what do you mean?
I don't.
And would you just place your hand on his penis, or what would happen?
He would place his hand on top of mine so it could um, touch his area.
And would your hand ever move?
Yes.
How would it move?
With the nod after that.
Would it make a type of motion in any way?
Yes.
Was it side to side, up and down? What was it?
Gonna object to leading.
Overrule.
You can answer that question.
It was more like along his thing. Yes.
When you say thing, you mean,
His penis.
when you say along it, what kind of motion is that?
Mm,
To the best that you can remember.
yes, I guess up and down.
Now, would you both be laying down when this happened?
Yes.
Object to leading.
That'll be overruled.
You said what?
Yes.
Is this in a different location? Is this in that same bed you had spoken about previously?
It's the same thing.
Same house?
Yes.
Same place every time?
Yes.
If you know, was anyone else ever in the room with you at the same time?
No.
Was the door open or closed, if you can remember?
Close.
And how old were you when this started?
About 6 years old.
6 years old. And what's your year of birth? 7. So you're about 6 years old when this started.
Yes.
And when you're saying this started, are you talking about everything you've just testified to?
Yes.
And about how long did that go on for?
Until I was about 10.
So this is about 4 years, is that right?
Yes.
Now, why did it stop? Or actually, let me take that back. With respect to how it would feel when his penis would contact your butthole, as you would say, did it ever hurt?
Sometimes, yes.
Why would it hurt?
Either go inside my hole or not. I don't know if it did sometimes, but just know sometimes it hurt.
And would it hurt? Would you ever make a noise or move?
Yes. I'd make a noise so he would stop, but I wouldn't say anything.
And would he stop?
Sometimes he'd stop for a little bit, then continue.
And when you said earlier that it was wet, did you ever see anything on his penis?
No, it wouldn't stop.
So what type of day would this happen during?
Tonight,
Always at night?
yes.
And with respect to the feeling of pain that you sometimes felt, would you feel that same pain the next day?
No,
It was more in the moment.
yes.
Was it a sharp pain?
Yes.
Was it ever a dull pain?
I'm gonna object to leading.
Sustained.
What type of pain was it?
It would be more like a sharp pain.
And when these things would happen, would he say anything to you?
Not to
Would he say anything after?
me.
He wouldn't say anything after. Did he say anything the next day?
He asked how I slept, but nothing about it, no.
And would he do that frequently? So he would frequently ask you how you slept.
Hmm.
And when would he ask you this again?
More like in the morning or after wake up.
And did you ever confront him about this?
No,
Why not?
I was scared too. And I thought about it a lot of times, especially as he dropped me off, I could just tell him, but I was too scared.
And when did you notice that things stopped between yourself and Alexander Rodriguez? When did they stop?
After I started my period, it stopped.
Okay, let's kind of go into getting your period. If you can remember, kind of how did you come about the knowledge of having a period?
It was in their house. We were watching movies, and then I went to the restroom, and I saw like reddish brown in my underwear, and I asked my grandma, and she helped me.
So you were at your grandma's house
Yes.
when the bleeding kind of happened on the couch,
Mm,
or where were you sitting?
yes.
And when your grandmother found out that you had had your period, was anybody else at the house that day?
Yeah.
Who was all there?
For sure, her and my dad, and I think Steve was there. I think that was it.
Did your dad know that you had started your period?
That day, yeah.
He was there.
Yeah.
And with respect to how this affected you mentally towards the end, would you have what was happening to you, kind of your mental state or kind of how you were feeling at the time?
It was really bad. Um, explain it. It's really bad.
And when you say it was really bad, what do you mean by that?
Um. I didn't want to be alive for a lot of the time.
How were you sleeping?
When I would sleep there, it was really bad. Wouldn't sleep at little to at all.
Do you have nightmares?
Yes.
And did any of those things move the needle or persuade you to want to say something?
Later on I did because of the nightmares got really bad. Like as I kept going on into high school, even after I had stopped, I kept having nightmares. And I told my mom about the nightmares too. And she just thought they were nightmares. And so
I'm gonna object to hearsay.
That'll be overruled. Any statements, her statements will be overruled, but anything that someone else said to you, you're not allowed to say what they said. Do you understand?
Mm.
All right, you may continue.
Thank you, Judge. So what exactly had you told your mom you said? Not exactly what you said, but just the basics. What were you saying?
I told her that I was having nightmares. And then I ended up telling the counselor. And I and I I didn't think that she would tell anyone. I thought I could just tell her. And yeah,
When you said you told the counselor, you're talking about a high school counselor?
yeah, yes.
And kind of walk me through, how did you end up telling the counselor? Like, where were you exactly? Were you in her office? Were you in the hallways? Where were you?
Yeah, I was at school in her office, and I had scheduled to talk to her like a week before, and she hadn't gotten back to me. So I had that day I was having a really bad day, and I hadn't slept well. So I was like I was a mess in front of her, and I told her in her office.
And you had already testified to this, but you told her because why? What about her?
And just because she was my school counselor. I
You-
guess there's no particular reason why I couldn't confide it in her.
Did you feel like she was going to tell a lot of people?
No, I didn't think she would tell anyone. I guess that's why I told her.
Just a brief moment of the court's time, Your Honor.
Yes.
So Emily, you had previously discussed how things were kind of progressing, right? With the actions your father would take.
Yes.
And you had mentioned that he would make you touch him.
Yes.
Would he ever touch you?
Yes.
And where would he touch you?
My private parts.
And when you say your private part, what do you mean by that?
Um. Uh. Like my vagina and my chest.
And when you say your chest, what do you mean?
He would kind of just like grope the area, but I was still little, so so much.
When you say chest, are you talking about breasts?
Yes, sir.
And with respect to that touching, when he would touch your vagina, how would he do that?
Um, um, I don't even know how to answer that. Sorry.
Would he place multiple fingers, a whole hand? How was it placed?
I'm gonna object to leading.
Overrule.
You can answer that.
His whole hand would be there.
And when his whole hand would touch your vagina, did it stay still? Did it move?
It moved.
How did it move?
Um, like mm, it moved like past the 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 like squishy parts, I guess. I don't know how to clarify.
Would his hand or fingers ever go inside your vagina?
Not entirely, no. Like not inside any hole.
And how long would he do that for?
For a while, but typically I made a noise and he'd stop
And would you be facing away from him or towards him?
away from him.
So how would his hand, was it over your body or how did his hand get there?
It was over my body, or I'd be laying on my back.
So sometimes facing the wall, sometimes on your back?
Yes,
Would your shorts be on or would they be off?
off.
Would you take them off or he take them off?
He would take them off.
You take them off really fast or slow?
So
And when you had said that he touched your breasts, how would he do that?
I guess he would like grope the area.
And when you say grope, was it soft? Was it firm? His hands.
Like it's soft.
And would they stay still or would they move?
They would typically move, I guess, but not much.
Would he touch both breasts or just one?
Just one
The one furthest away or the one closest?
closest.
And would you say anything?
No,
Would he say anything?
no.
And I guess just to add more clarity, after he would do this, what would happen those nights?
I'm sorry, what are you doing?
So after he would touch your vagina or your breasts, would he then, what would happen next?
Mm,
Did he keep his hand there the whole night?
no,
Did he remove it?
yes,
Did he ever get up from the bed?
no. I know he would wipe his area and wipe me down too with his blanket.
Now, when you say wipe his area, what do you mean?
Um, because it would the area everything would be like kind of wet, and he would dry it, and it had a kind of smell.
And when you say wipe his area, what area exactly are you talking about?
His privates that he touched me with,
His hands or his genitals?
both.
And would he would wipe you as well or just himself?
Me as well.
Where would he wipe you?
The areas he touched, like my 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 parts down there.
Your vagina?
Yes.
And you had mentioned that it kind of smelled.
Mhm.
What smelled?
It was like I don't know. Mm, it wasn't as a smell. I don't know how to explain it.
Was it a smell that you were used to?
Not typically during the day, no.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right? Defense, yes.
Hi, Emily.
Hi.
My name is Marissa. I'm just gonna ask you a couple questions, okay?
Okay.
Okay, we've never met. Right?
Right.
Okay, so if you don't understand my question, just let me know, okay? And I'll ask it a different way.
So,
Okay. You, started seeing your dad in October of 2014, correct?
I don't know my dorm, so
Um. About when you were 7, you started seeing your dad again?
yes, maybe
And you testified earlier that, the abuse, you said it started happening when you were 6?
6 or 7, yes.
Okay. Have you ever told anyone that it happened when you were, that it started when you were 7 before today?
No,
No, you've always said 6 before today, right?
I said 6 or 7.
Okay.
So I was in second grade.
Okay. You remember you've talked to a lot of people in this case, right?
Yes,
Okay. You met with the police.
yes,
You met with someone at Child Safe where you were in a room where they were videoing you, right?
Yes.
Okay. You've met with the district attorney's office.
yes.
How many times have you met with the prosecutors on this case?
In person once, I think.
Okay. And previous to today, you've always said that the abuse started when you were 6 years old.
6 or 7, yes.
Okay. And you would go see your dad every other weekend,
Yes,
okay? And it was always at your grandma Christine's house.
yes,
And I think you already testified, the people who would always be there would be your dad, Christine, her husband Steve, and your dad's brother.
yes.
Okay, what's your dad's brother's name?
Ethan,
Ethan. Okay. How old is Ethan? Do you know?
he's in his 20s.
Okay, so he's an adult.
Yes,
You also would have a friend stay the night with you a lot at your dad's house, correct?
yes.
What was that friend's name?
Clarissa,
Okay, her name was Clarissa, like your mom's name?
yeah.
Okay, and how often did she stay the night with you?
Not every other weekend, but when I was in 8th grade, she would sometimes, yes.
Okay. But you testified earlier that, the abuse that you're telling us about, that it happened every single time that you were at your dad's.
I'm sorry, not all the time.
Okay, so not every time?
It was between when I was 6 and 7 to 10.
Okay,
And when I was in 7th grade, I was half that age.
okay. So you're saying between 6 and 10, you never had any friends staying the night at your dad's house?
No,
Okay. And so between 6 and 10, every single time you were at your dad's for 4 years, every single night, you were abused by your father.
not every night, no.
Okay. How often would it happen?
It'd be almost every night. Yeah,
Okay. Um. And just one more, Judge. So your birthday's in 2007, correct? And November
Yes.
2007. So in 2013, in November, you turned 6.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yeah.
Okay. May I approach Judge?
Yes.
Emily, I'm showing you what we've marked as defendant's exhibit 1, which I have previously shown to the prosecutor. This is a calendar, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and if you look at it, when does it start?
2013.
Okay, and is each page a different year all the way up to 2020, I think 2024. If you want to take a look at it,
Mm-hmm.
yes or no?
30 years.
Okay. So every year, correct, from this, you agree, this highlighted square right here, that's your birthday,
Yes.
okay? And so this is when you turned 13,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
okay? And so do you think that we're incorrect in saying that you started seeing your dad in 2014?
No.
Okay, so if these pink highlighted portions, this would be every other weekend, right?
Yes.
Approximately, that would represent how many times you saw your dad over these years.
Lot.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
You saw him a lot. Okay. Hundreds of days,
Yes.
right? Okay. And you're saying that every single night that you were over there, something would happen to you over these years?
A majority. Yes.
Judge, we would offer to admit defendant's exhibit 1.
Your Honor, given the state's honor about, certainly, we don't believe this is, certainly for demonstrative purposes, we think this is fine, but we don't really see the relevance of including a calendar that goes up to 2024.
May I see defense exhibit number 1, please? If I could have parties approach. All right, defense, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge. Okay. Emily, you talked about you live with your mom and your stepdad, correct?
Yes.
And his name is Roy Herrera?
Yes.
Okay. And your mom's name is Clarissa Herrera?
Yes.
And the police have come out to your house with your mom several times, correct?
I'm gonna object to relevance, Your Honor.
That'll be overruled.
You can.
Can you repeat? I'm sorry.
Yeah, the police have come out to your mom's house several times, correct?
I don't know. Sorry.
You don't know?
I'm sorry.
Okay. Do you remember, have you previously talked to CPS about abuse in your home?
Not in my home. No.
No? You don't remember talking to CPS about physical abuse by the hands of Roy Herrera
Your Honor,
yourself?
I'm gonna have to object on 2 grounds, both to relevance and to an improper impeachment.
All right, can parties approach? All right, you proceed.
Thank you. Emily, so do you remember previously talking to CPS?
I know. I know someone from recently CPS came to my great grandparents' house. But I don't think I talked to them.
Okay, when you say your great grandparents' house, who are you talking about?
My great grandparents on my mom's side.
Okay, and you don't remember talking to CPS?
No, not that I'm calling.
Okay, so you don't remember telling CPS that you've never been sexually abused before?
I don't think so.
Okay. I'm gonna move on for 1 second. Do you remember how old you were when you started your period?
Around like 11.
Okay. Do you remember previously saying that you started your period at 12?
I don't remember.
You don't remember saying that?
No, man.
Okay. Do you remember talking to CPS about this case?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember telling CPS that the abuse went until you were from 6 until you were 12 and that you started your period at 12?
I started around 11 or 12. Can't remember exactly.
Okay. So do you remember, you're saying now that the abuse happened, I think there's some inconsistencies. You say 10, but then you say 12 sometimes. Do you know how old you were when the abuse stopped?
Around 10.
Around 10. So when you previously said that it stopped at 12, that was not correct.
Right?
Okay. So you've actually been interviewed by CPS several times as a child, correct?
I think so. I can't remember.
Okay, but you don't remember talking to CPS?
No, I'm not sure though.
Okay. So you testified earlier that your dad, that he would come into the room at night.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And that you would be facing the wall,
Yes.
but you just knew it was him.
Yes, but throughout the night I would turn to the wall. He like we would go to bed together.
Okay. There were other men that lived in that house, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when you're saying this abuse happened, you weren't facing the person who was doing this to you.
Correct.
So you don't actually know that it was your dad who was abusing you.
No one else walked into the room, just him.
But how do you know that if you didn't see him?
Because I didn't go to bed.
Okay. But you've already testified that you didn't see him. He didn't say anything to you.
He did.
Okay. What did he say?
He would either say my name or try to talk to me or say like I love you or good night to make sure I guess to see if I was awake.
Okay. Have you ever told anyone that before?
Yes.
Okay. I think earlier when you were testifying, you said that he would say something to make sure that you were awake. And I think previously you said to make sure you were asleep, but you've never testified or never told anyone that he would say I love you or say your name. You've never told anyone that before today.
Yes, I have.
Okay, who have you told that to?
Last time when we came to talk to the DA.
Okay, to talk to the DA. Do you remember telling the DA that you did not hear anything when the abuse was happening?
Not very well.
So if it was said that you said that you didn't hear anything, that wasn't exactly correct. You meant specifically, not, you heard something, but later you didn't.
Your Honor, to object to a compound question, I couldn't follow that.
Right, that objection will be sustained with
Okay.
regards to compound question.
I'll rephrase. So if you said previously that you didn't hear anything, you didn't mean that to mean the whole night, only just part of it.
Correct.
You see how that's a little bit different?
Yes, sir.
Do you also remember telling the DA that your dad would not say your name, and now you're testifying that he did?
Yes. Think,
Okay. So did he say your name or did he not say your name?
yes,
He did.
yes.
Okay, and so this person that you didn't see, that you didn't hear, that you just know is your dad, he would come in and he would take off your shorts,
Yes, sir.
okay? And this happened every night that you were there for every other weekend for 4 years,
Almost every yes.
okay? So 2 out of the 3 nights you were there, 1 of the nights, what do
I
you
was
think?
there for 2 nights, and
Okay.
sometimes people and sometimes people
Okay,
would be there.
sometimes it would be neither,
Mhm.
okay? So when you testified that it was every time you were over there, that wasn't correct? Okay. And you said that he would touch you with something, but you didn't know what it was.
No one was.
Okay, but at first you said you didn't know what it was, right?
Mhm.
At first, okay. And then later, as you got older, you figured out what it was?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you testified that, that his penis never went into your butthole,
Correct.
but then later you testified that it would hurt.
Yes, it would hurt.
Okay. So are you testifying that it did go in and that's why it would hurt? Or why would it hurt?
I don't know, I just know that it hurt.
Okay. And how many times when this happened did it hurt?
Not every time now.
Okay. Did you ever have any bleeding?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Any tears or sores in your butt?
No,
No injury to you at all?
no.
But you were really little at this time, right?
Yes,
And your dad was a grown man.
yes,
You see him now, is he bigger or smaller than he is now?
bigger.
Bigger. Okay. Okay, you also talked about your dad's penis when you testified, right?
Yes,
Okay, and I believe you were asked to describe it before today too, correct?
yes,
Okay, and both times you said the same thing, that it was wet and hairy,
yes.
and that you don't remember anything else about it. Okay, and so you're 17,
yes,
you know what a penis is,
yes,
okay? You're testifying there's nothing unusual about your father's penis.
no,
Okay. You also testified that this was a sharp pain that you would feel, right?
yes,
But you don't know why you felt pain.
no,
You also testified earlier that your dad didn't say anything after or during, but now you're saying that's different, right? You're saying now that he would say your name, I love you.
He would say something beforehand, yes.
Okay. And then the next day he asked you how you slept.
Yes.
But he would ask you how you slept every morning, didn't he?
Yeah.
Okay. So that really doesn't mean anything that he asked you how you slept the next morning, because he would ask you that every day.
Yes.
You then started talking about, you testified about your period, right? That you started when you were about 12. Correct?
I don't know the exact age, sorry.
Okay, that's okay. But you were at your grandma's house and then your mom came to pick you up, right?
No.
No?
They drove me to my mom.
Okay, who drove you to your mom's?
My dad.
Okay. And he dropped you off?
Yeah, he walked in with me.
Okay. And then after your dad left, your mom, did she talk to you about your period?
Yes.
And she asked you at that point in time if your dad was abusing you, didn't she?
I'm gonna have to object to hearsay, Your Honor.
Sustained.
You also testified that at that point in time, you were in a really bad mental state,
Yes.
right? But tell me, how are you doing in school?
I think I was doing fine.
But you got really good grades in high school, right?
Yes.
You never got in trouble in high school,
No.
no behavior issues,
No.
no attendance problems.
No.
You talked about how you said you didn't want to live.
Yes.
In fact, you actually attempted suicide at one point.
Yes.
Okay. And was that the same day that you told the counselor what happened to you?
No, that was in seventh grade.
Okay. Do you remember telling telling Child Safe that it was the same day that you told the counselor that you attempted suicide?
No.
Okay. When you attempted suicide, was that at your dad's house?
Yes.
And you would agree with me that after you told the counselor what happened to you, you didn't go back to your dad's house.
Correct.
So it wouldn't be possible for you to attempt suicide at your father's house the day you told the counselor, right?
Right.
Because that was during the week
Right.
and you were with your mom,
Yes.
and you obviously wouldn't go back to your dad's house after you told somebody that he'd been abusing you.
Yes.
Okay. So if you told someone previously that you had attempted suicide the same day you told your counselor at your dad's house, that would be a lie.
Right.
You testified earlier that you were having nightmares
Yes.
and that you told your mom about the nightmares before you outcried to the abuse.
Yes.
Okay. Have you told anyone before today that you told your mom about the nightmares?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Who did you tell that to?
I think I told the DA to either on call or in person.
Okay.
And the counselor.
And you told that to the counselor as well?
Yes.
What did you tell your mom about the nightmares?
That that they were causing me to lose a lot of sleep.
Okay. Did you tell your mom what they were about?
No.
Okay. Okay. Let's go back to when you were younger at your dad's house, or well, at your grandma's house.
Yeah.
Christine, right?
Yes.
Okay. You were, I mean, you were still a young child. Okay. Did you bathe or shower on your own?
Yes.
You didn't, no one would give you a bath?
When I first started going over, my grandma would bathe me.
Okay.
And then as I got older, I bathed myself.
Okay. And so when the abuse was happening, were you being bathed by your grandmother or were you bathing yourself?
I was bathing myself.
Okay. you were bathing yourself at 7 years old?
I'm not sure.
Does anyone need a short recess? Okay.
May I purchase?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm showing you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit 2. Have you seen these before?
No.
No, okay. Do you know what these are?
No.
Okay. Whose name is this at the top?
Claire Sarah,
And that is
my mom.
your mom, okay. And you see right here? Who's this talking about?
Me.
Wait. These are CPS records, but you agree with me, these are about you.
Yes.
Okay. So right here, can you read this paragraph here to yourself, not out loud?
Yeah.
Okay, and so you agree with me that that says that you said that the abuse went till you were 12 and that you started your period when you were 12.
Your Honor, I have to briefly object to reading outside the record, and this individual says she's never seen this before, so any statements contained therein are hearsay.
All right, I don't believe that was the question. The objection will be overruled.
You can answer that. Want me to ask you again?
Yes, please.
Okay, so you agree with me that it says that you previously stated that the abuse stopped when you were 12 and that you started your period when you were 12.
I don't know exactly when I started my period.
Okay, but that's not what I'm asking you, okay? The paragraph you just read that say that you previously said that the abuse stopped when you were 12
Yes.
and that you started your period when you were 12.
Yes.
So you said that the first adult that you told was the counselor about the abuse,
Yes.
right? And you told the counselor things that happened to you, everything that happened to you?
Not exactly, no. I told her.
Okay. And what all did you tell her?
I told her that what had happened to me with my dad and that I was having nightmares. And yeah, I think that's about it. I told her.
Okay. And so you didn't tell her details?
I don't think so.
Do you remember telling the counselor previously that there was no penetration?
I don't remember.
Okay. But now you're saying there was penetration.
I don't know.
Okay. So it's your testimony that you do not know if something went inside your body.
Correct.
Okay. But this went on until you were 10 years old.
Yes.
Okay. At 10, you wouldn't know if something went inside your body.
I don't think anything did, but it hurt.
Okay. So you really just don't know.
No.
You also testified that your dad would wipe himself on a blanket,
Yes.
right? And then today you said that he would also wipe your vagina.
Yes.
Have you ever told anyone before that he wiped your vagina with a blanket?
Might have told the DA. I don't remember if I did.
Okay. Previously, you only said that your dad would wipe himself. You never said that he would wipe you.
I'm have to object, not a question, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can,
Can you ask again?
right. Previously, you have never told anyone that your dad would wipe your vagina. You only have said that he would wipe himself,
I
correct?
don't remember.
You don't remember, okay. And isn't it true you told the counselor that you felt guilty?
Yes.
Okay. And you said that on the 19th and the 20th.
Yes.
Several times you said that multiple times that you feel guilty.
Yes.
And in fact, you've also said that this went too far. You didn't want this to happen.
Yes.
You remember how old you were when you met Roy?
Mm,
And your mom, do you know when they got married?
no.
Okay. Do you think that they got married before you started seeing your dad again?
Yes.
And after you started seeing your dad, your mom was also seeing your dad.
Yes.
They were having an affair.
Your Honor, I'm not to object. This is irrelevant. It's 404. It's bad X. and it's improper questioning.
All right, with regards to the bad acts, that will be overruled, but could parties approach?
Emily, just to be clear, when we're talking about when you and your mom would go to see your dad, where would this be?
Sometimes be at the park or eating or getting food or at her work.
Okay, and this was when your dad lived with your grandma Christine.
Yes.
Does your mom speak kindly about your dad, Alex?
It's an objection, Your Honor, both the speculation and hearsay.
With regards to hearsay, that will be sustained.
And I'm just asking generally, not specifically what she would say.
It's still
That will
hearsay, Your Honor.
be, the objection to hearsay will be sustained.
What is the tone when your mom speaks about your father?
Your Honor, this is a circumvention of what we just respectfully requested, which was an objection with respect to hearsay.
Overruled.
You can answer that question. What was the tone when or what is the tone when your mom speaks about Alex?
No, it's not good.
Your dad, started seeing another woman in 2022 or 2020, 2021, correct?
Yes,
And her name is Lizette,
yes,
and they started living together soon after that.
yes,
Okay. And Lizette had children of her own.
yes,
And so when you would go over there, they would be there.
yes.
How did that make you feel?
Your Honor, I'm not to object to the relevance.
Relevancy.
I'm getting there, Judge, if I can have a little bit of leeway.
Your Honor,
Alright.
this was on.
What's the relevancy?
Can we approach?
Yes.
Emily, do you remember what year it was when you outcried about the abuse?
I was in freshman year.
Okay, do you remember what year that was?
No.
Okay, so you were a freshman in 2022. You agree?
Yes.
Okay, so that's when you talked to the police?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And your dad moved in with Lizette not long before that outcry.
Right.
Okay. In fact, you talked to your counselor, the day of the outcry was September 15th of 2020, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And so when Lizette moved in with her kids, how many kids does she have?
4.
Okay. That affected you.
Your Honor, can I object to relevance once again?
Relevancy.
Judge, it's close proximity to the outcry.
All right, overrule.
Okay, so that affected you when they moved in, correct?
I suppose.
Okay. In fact, you previously told Lizette and your dad that you felt like you were an inconvenience to them.
Yes.
Can I approach Judge?
Yes.
Emily, did your dad have a nickname for you?
Yes.
What did he call you?
Booker.
Booger? Okay. So I'm showing you what's marked Defense Exhibit 3. Is that say Booger at the top?
Yes.
Okay. Can you look at these and see if you recognize these? Are they text messages?
Yes.
Okay. Do you recognize them?
Yes.
Who are they text messages between?
Me and my dad.
Can you speak up just a little bit for us?
Me and my dad.
Okay. And what is the date at the top?
October 29th,
Of what year?
2021.
Okay. And is this where you were telling your dad that you feel like you're an inconvenience to them?
Yeah.
Move to admit I'm sorry, Defendant's Exhibit 3.
Your Honor, the state's going to object both for relevance and the fact that these are self-serving statements of their client, the defendant.
All right, with regards to hearsay, any defense exhibit number 3, any text messages that are text messages made by your client that is hearsay and that will be sustained.
Judge, we're not offering them for the truth of the matter. We are offering them for optimal completeness and for understanding the context. And so because it's not for the truth of the matter, it's not hearsay.
All right, the objection is sustained with regards to your client's statements.
Can we redact the
Yes.
defendant's statement?
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to give you all a 10-minute break. And well, a little bit more than 10 minutes. I'll have you all back here at 3:30. All right. You're not allowed to discuss anything that you've heard. You're not allowed to do any research. You're not allowed to talk about this case. You're not allowed to start deliberating. Do not think about this case unless you're in this courtroom. Does everyone understand? All right, everyone, please rise for the jurors.
You ready? Okay, all right, for the jury. All right, where we left off. Vince.
You were questioning the witness. You may proceed.
Judge, I think where we left off, we had moved to admit defense exhibit 3. It has now been redacted. We do believe it is relevant. It goes to motive. It also goes to inconsistencies in her testimony.
All right, do you want to question the witness about defense exhibit number 3?
Sure. Again,
And
okay.
then if you'll lay the foundation, then I'll hear whether or not it should be admitted or not.
Okay.
Thank you.
May I approach?
Yes.
Okay, Emily, we talked about this a minute ago. This is the same thing I showed you earlier,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And you already testified these are text messages between you and your father,
Yes.
okay? And these are the text messages where you say that you felt like you were an inconvenience,
Yes.
right? And you testified earlier that you were afraid of your father, right?
Yes.
Okay, but here, and this was in 2021.
Oh, yes.
I'm sorry, speak up just a
Yes.
little bit for me. Yes, okay. And here you stated that, in fact, of course, I would not stop seeing you, right? You wanted to see your dad,
Kind of.
okay? Can you read this for me to yourself? Okay. It doesn't sound like you kind of wanted to see your dad. Would you agree?
I'm sorry.
This text message doesn't sound like you kind of wanted to see your dad, does it?
I'm sorry. I don't understand.
Okay, in this message, you say that you are happy, you want him to be happy, and you want to keep seeing him, correct?
I don't. I don't know, ma'am.
I'm sorry, I cannot hear what's being said. If you'll speak into the microphone, please, and keep your voice up. All right, thank you.
Okay.
And counsel, if you could re-ask your question.
Yes. So this text message,
Mhm.
okay, on this
Yes.
first page, you agree, it starts here, but it continues. You can't see all this text message here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and then on page 3, this is that entire message.
Yes.
Okay, and so looking at this on page 3, you agree with me, you said that you, of course, would not stop seeing your dad.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Okay, and that you want him to be happy,
Yes.
and that you were hurt and you felt like you were an inconvenience.
Yes.
Okay, and that is not what you testified a minute ago where you said that you only kind of wanted to keep seeing him.
Because I didn't know what I wanted. I did because there were good parts of him, but I did want to see him because there were good parts of him, but it was just hard for me to see them.
Okay, so you see that the text messages are different from what you're saying here today.
Yes.
Right, we would move to admit defense exhibit 3.
Your Honor, the state would respectfully request a denial of this admission. There was no real denial, so this shouldn't be admitted under any type of extrinsic. Counsel had earlier asserted a rule of optional completeness, which is an affirmative objection that wouldn't apply here because they're the ones moving for it to be offered in the first place. She's already testified as to the contents of this, and so we don't believe it's proper. It's a proper admission with respect to defense exhibit number 3.
All right, that objection will be sustained with regards to the admission of defense exhibit number 3.
And Emily, you had a relationship with Lizette, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And you would text with her?
Yes.
Okay. And you continued to talk to her after the outcry, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you would ask her about your dad?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Overruled.
You can answer the question. You would ask her about your dad?
I think so.
Okay.
I remember.
Can I approach Judge?
Yes.
Oh.
I have to approach Judge.
Yes, you did. And to both parties, you don't need to ask the court to approach.
Thank you, Judge.
You're welcome.
Okay, Emily. I'm gonna show you. This is what's been marked as defense exhibit 4. These two are the same thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so this one's not redacted and this one is redacted. Would you agree with me?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do you recognize these text messages?
Yes.
Okay. Who is messaging in these messages?
Me and Lisette.
Okay, you want to speak up a little bit for me?
Me and Lisette.
Okay. And what's the date of the messages?
December 27th.
Okay. Do you know what year it was?
No.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you just to take a couple minutes and review these messages for me. I think maybe it might give you some context of when it was.
It was last year when I was in sophomore year.
It was sophomore year? How do you know it was sophomore year?
Because that's when they moved to Houston.
Okay, who moved to Houston?
My family.
Can you be more specific?
My mom, stepfather, brothers and sister.
Okay, and did you move with them?
No.
Okay, and you never wanted to move with them to Houston, correct?
Correct.
In fact, you wanted to live with your dad.
No.
You never told anyone that you wanted to live with your dad?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. And here in these text messages, you'd agree with me that you are asking about your dad and you in fact say that you didn't think that Lizette and your dad wanted to see you.
Yes.
Okay. But this was after the outcry, correct?
Yes.
Okay. If you're worried about whether or not your dad or Lizette want to see you, that sounds like you want to see them, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay. But you testified earlier that you were afraid of your dad.
I was, but there were parts of him that I was afraid of. I didn't know.
And I'm sorry, 1 second. Give you this 5.
Oh, thanks.
Okay. Oh, and this is defense exhibit 5.
Mhm.
These are the same thing, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and who are these messages between?
Me and Lisette.
You and Lizette again? And what's the date on these?
April 2nd.
Okay. If you review these, take a minute, look at them and tell me if you think this is the April after this December text message or before.
It'd be after.
Be after. So this would have been April of 2024.
Yes.
Okay. And what's going on in these text messages?
My dad said to marry her.
Can you speak up for me again?
My dad said to marry her.
Okay. And you were excited about this, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You thought that was wonderful news.
Yes.
Okay. And then you asked how your dad and Lizette were doing.
Sorry. Oh yeah. Yes.
Okay. It doesn't sound like you're scared in these messages, does it?
Mm.
Right, I'm looking at Defense Exhibit 4 again. Isn't it true that on this day you said, actually, I miss you guys too?
Yes.
Right, you missed your dad.
Yes.
And on, when you found out about the engagement, you actually said, that's amazing in all caps. Oh my God, you were extremely excited.
Yes.
You said, yippee, that's awesome news. I'm glad to hear it.
Your Honor, object to relevance.
Sustained.
Okay, and in these messages, you actually, you gave them detailed about your life and about how you've been doing
Yes.
and what you've been doing.
Yes.
Okay. You talked in detail about whether or not you were moving to Houston.
Subject to relevance, Your Honor, again.
What's the relevancy?
Judge, she said that this is someone who's engaged to someone who's sexually assaulted her, and I mean, for
Yes. right, you may continue defense.
Emily, after these messages with Lizette, your mom got mad, right?
Yes.
Your mom said you can't talk to Lizette anymore.
Objection, hearsay?
That'll be sustained.
You were prohibited from contacting Lizette.
Circumvention of what we just discussed.
Sustained.
It's in a hearsay if counsel is confused as to what the nature of the objection is.
All right, that will be sustained. And you all just address your objections to the court. The court will respond.
Well,
Yes, you may approach at any time.
Emily, I'm showing you what's marked as Defense Exhibit 5. Do you recognize this?
Yes.
Okay, what is that?
A message I sent.
Who did you send that message to?
I said,
Okay, when did you send this message?
Your Honor, we're not to object. This is 5, I believe. This witness has already been questioned as to when these messages were sent. This has been asked and answered.
These
All
are
right, the
different,
objection will be overruled.
these are different messages. Is it the wrong number?
All right, the court has made its ruling.
Thank you, Judge. When were these messages sent?
April 6th.
Okay. And this is after the messages we talked about previously. Correct?
Yes.
And in this message that you sent to Lizette, you were not happy that your mom got mad, correct?
Right.
And you
Yes.
said that your mom micromanages everything you do.
Yes.
Okay. And that just because she thinks something is right doesn't mean it is.
Yes.
And that it hurt you that you were not allowed to talk to Lizette anymore.
Yes.
And that after your dad, after she told you about your dad proposing to her, you let yourself be excited and you told your mom,
Yes.
because that's what you do when you're excited.
I have to object to reading outside the record, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Or do we move to admit states or Defense Exhibit 5?
We renew the same objections we've previously made, Your Honor.
All right, so can parties approach? All right, you all may proceed.
Emily, after you learned about the proposal, you told your mom.
Yes.
And you told your mom because you were excited.
Yes.
And that's because that's what you do when you're excited. You tell people about it.
Yes.
And after that, your mom got upset that you were talking to Lizette.
Yes.
And she got upset because this was after the outcry.
Yes.
But you were still very happy that they got engaged.
Yes.
Again, you felt like you were burdening Lizette
Yeah.
and your dad.
Yeah.
And you cried a lot after your mom got upset.
Yes.
You were upset that you were losing contact with your dad.
Yes.
And in fact, you thought that your dad and Lizette didn't want to talk to you.
Yes.
It wasn't that you didn't want to talk to your dad.
I don't know.
You don't know if you wanted to talk to your dad?
I don't know.
Oh. He's saying I'm marked off, I'm marked. Seven? Okay. Seven. And these are the same thing.
Two number sevens.
No, 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 no. I'm
Oh.
just saying if you want to look at
Oh,
these, they're the same thing.
I'll take it, thanks.
Okay. Oh. Okay, Emily, I'm handing you what's been marked as defendant's exhibit 7. That's a stack of photos. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, there's 16 there. Can you look at them and tell me if you recognize them?
Yeah. Yes.
Look at all of them for me, okay?
Okay.
And these are pictures of you with your dad's family?
Yes.
Okay. And about how old are you in these pictures?
I don't know.
You don't know how old you were?
No.
Okay. Do you have a guess at how old you were?
I think it was in middle school.
You were in middle school.
Looks like it.
Okay. So that would have been about the time of the abuse?
I don't know, ma'am.
You don't know?
No.
Okay. You said that the abuse happened when you were 6 or 7 to 10 to 12,
Yes.
right? Do you think that these pictures accurately depict you when you were about that age?
Yes.
Move to admit defense exhibit 7.
No, the state will, or go ahead. Excuse me. State's going to object on 2 separate grounds, Your Honor. First grounds is the relevance. This witness herself said she doesn't know when they were taken. So if we want to go through each one individually as to when and who were in the photos, that's one thing. It's also, the state would believe it's highly irregular and improper to admit a packet of separate photos as one exhibit.
Right, with regards to defense exhibit number 7, if you'll mark them individually, and then you'll lay the foundation with the witness. You're welcome.
Okay. Let's talk about this is just one photo for defense exhibit 7. When was that?
Your Honor, my approach just to keep track at the same, just keep track of the photos.
When was that?
I don't know exactly.
You don't know exactly?
No.
Who's all in that picture?
Um. My dad, Christina, and Steve,
Okay, and who else?
and me. Sorry,
Okay, that's okay. And where are you?
SeaWorld.
Okay. Are you a young child, a teenager, preteen?
Young, preteen.
Preteen,
Yes,
okay. Possibly 10 to 12.
yes.
Okay. Defense Exhibit 8. Who's in that picture?
My dad, Christina, Ethan, Scott, and Christina's mom, and
Okay.
me, and Bonnie,
You and who?
and Bonnie.
Bonnie?
The dog,
The
sorry.
dog,
Yeah.
okay. And you said another name that you said Ethan, your dad, and who's this guy?
Scott,
Scott. Who's Scott?
Scott, and her husband.
Oh, okay. And who's this?
My grandma's mom.
Your grandma's mom. So your great grandma,
Yes.
and then that's her husband.
Yes.
Okay. And where was this?
At Christina's house.
Okay. Was something special going on in that picture?
Christmas.
Okay. And can you tell how old you were?
No.
No? You have a guess?
Young.
Young? Would you say younger than you were in Defense Exhibit 7?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you over the age of 6?
Yes.
Okay. Defendant's Exhibit 9. Who's in that picture?
Okay, grandma and my dad and me.
Okay. Your grandma, your dad, and you. Do you know where you are?
By tennis courts. I don't know where.
Okay, that's okay. You guys are by some tennis courts. How old are you in that picture?
I don't know.
Are you about the same age as the other 2 pictures we've already talked about?
I look younger.
You look younger, but over the age of 6.
Maybe. Sorry, I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. Defense Exhibit 10. Who's in that picture?
Steve, my dad, Ethan, Anisha, and Christina, and me.
Okay, and where are you guys in that picture?
I don't know.
Okay. What are you doing?
Looks like we're at some swimming place.
And how old are you in that picture?
I don't know.
About 7?
Maybe. I don't know. I'm sorry.
Okay. Who's in Defense Exhibit 11?
Me and my dad.
Okay, and you're at a restaurant,
Yes.
okay, and you're about 7 or 8 there.
Yes. Maybe.
Defense Exhibit 12. Who's in that picture?
Anisha, Ethan, Steve, Christina, me, and my dad.
Where are you there?
I'm sorry.
Where are you in that picture?
Between Christina and my dad.
No, I'm sorry. Where are you guys at?
Oh, sorry. At a mini golf.
At mini golf. Okay. And you're about the same age as you are in the rest of the pictures we've been talking about.
Yes.
Defendant's Exhibit 13 and 14. Are those taken on the same day?
Yes.
Okay, you're wearing the same outfits.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes. Sir.
Okay. And who's in those pictures?
Me and my dad and dressed up people.
Dressed up people. Where are you guys at?
Universal, I think.
Okay, you're at a theme park.
Yeah.
Okay. And you're maybe a little bit older than you were in some of these other pictures, but right around the same age.
Yes.
And it's 15 and 16. Those are pictures of you and your dad at Halloween
Yes.
or some sort of costume party.
Halloween.
Halloween, okay. And it's just pictures of you and your dad.
Yes.
You guys had kind of matching costumes, like they went together.
Yes.
And you're about 10 or 11 there.
Yes.
17, who's in that picture?
Me and my dad.
You and your dad? And you're at some maybe aquarium or SeaWorld?
Hmm.
Okay, yes.
Yes, sorry.
And again, you're about the same age.
Yes.
Younger than you were at the Halloween picture, but still about 7.
Maybe. Sorry, I don't know.
And it's 18. The picture of you and your dad.
Yes.
Okay. Y'all are dressed up. Where are we going?
Not sure.
You're not sure? Okay. But again, you're about the same age as the pictures we've been talking about.
Yes.
Okay. Defendant's Exhibit 19, who's in that picture?
Me, Christina, and my dad.
Okay. And what's going on in this picture?
It's like Christmas time around in downtown.
Okay. And you're how old there?
Around the same age as I think.
Okay. This is all the time that you're saying the abuse was happening.
I think so, yes.
Defense Exhibit 20, who's all in that picture?
A lot of family.
Okay.
Some people I don't know their names of.
Okay, your dad's whole family?
Yes.
Okay. And you're younger in this picture, right?
Yes.
Maybe 6,
Yes.
maybe 7?
Yes.
Defense Exhibit 21, who's all in that picture?
Christina, Ethan, my dad, and me
Okay. And where are you guys in this picture?
at the amusement park.
An amusement park? Okay. And how old do you think you are there? 10?
Yes.
And Defense Exhibit 22, who's all in that picture?
Jack, Christina, Steve, Ethan, me and my dad, and John.
Okay. And what are you guys doing in this picture?
We're standing in the backyard of Christina's house.
You guys all have on matching shirts?
Yes.
Do you remember if it was some sort of an event?
I don't remember.
Okay. And you're about 9, maybe?
Yeah.
Defense would move to admit 7 through 22.
Your Honor, the state would object to relevance. I believe counsel has essentially tried to bootstrap their own relevance by really guiding the witness along any potential ages. She could barely say when these photos were taken. Most of them are incredibly blurry, as the court will see. So again, state believes that they are not relevant.
All right, defense exhibit number 7 through 22 will be admitted. Yes.
Sorry.
Can you help me?
We can.
Can't.
No, they can come down. Rick can be like. Can't be like because of these cords that have to go underneath it.
On the screen.
Oh. Okay, no.
That one, right? There we go. Whoa.
It will adjust.
Oh.
Yes, don't.
On this one.
She just said it will adjust on its own.
It will. But don't, because you'll end up breaking it. The only thing that you can turn is the knob.
Zoom.
Yes, but
Okay.
don't move the head down or anything.
Okay, Emily, these are the photos we just went over.
Yes.
Okay. Do you look, or you don't look scared in this picture?
No.
You look happy.
Yes.
Defendant's Exhibit 8. You still look happy.
Yes.
Nine and 10. You were a very happy child.
Yes.
And it's 11. Twelve and 13. You had a lot of fun with your dad.
Yes.
You loved your dad.
Yes.
Your dad loves you.
Mm. Mm.
Object to speculation, Judge.
Sustained,
Do you believe that your dad loves you?
I'll object to speculation again.
sustained,
Defendant's Exhibit 18. Was that a father-daughter dance?
No, I don't think so.
And it's Exhibit 20. 21. Defendant's Exhibit 22. And all these pictures were taken when you telling this jury that your dad was raping you every night that you were there.
Almost every night, yes.
Okay, all these pictures happened during the time that you're saying that the sexual abuse was happening almost every night.
I think so.
Oh, I see. I see what I think so. Mhm.
Emily, I'm handing you what's been marked as Defendant's Exhibit 23. What is that?
Letter to my dad.
Who wrote that letter?
Me.
Okay, and it's 2 pages. Was that the same day?
Yes.
Okay. How old were you when you wrote this?
I don't know.
You don't know. Okay. If you read it, does it give you any clue as to how old you are?
No.
Have you always called Alex daddy?
Mm. No, not always.
Okay. When did you stop calling him daddy?
I'm not sure.
Okay, as you got older,
Yeah.
okay, so you would have been younger when you wrote this,
Yes.
okay? During the time of the abuse is when you wrote this,
I don't know how old I was in here.
okay? But you're saying that since you started seeing your dad, that the abuse was almost every night,
Yes.
okay? And if you would have been younger because you were still calling him daddy, you would agree that was when the abuse was happening.
Yes.
Okay. And defense exhibit 24, what is this?
Another letter by me.
By you to who?
My dad.
Your dad? And this one actually has a date on it, right?
Yes.
What's the date on it?
2018.
What's the full date?
Oh, sorry, November 21st.
So that would have been about 10 days after your birthday.
Yes.
Okay, in 2018. So you turned 7.
Yes.
Okay. And so this was, according to your testimony, after the abuse had started.
Yes.
Move to admit defendants exhibit 23.
No objection.
Right, defense exhibit 23 and 24 admitted without objection.
Emily, can you read out loud? Starting with 23, and then let me know when you're done. Well, I'll know when. Yeah, please.
Um, Dear Daddy, you have always been there for me, and even though I see you, even though I see not so often, I still love you oh so very much. I thank you for all things you have done for me, like you gave me food, gave me a house, gave me special memories, which I will treasure them for as long as I will live. You always try to make me more than what I am. If I am not if I have not been able to see you on some weekends in my life, be so very sad. But since I am able to see you on some weekends, I'm very grateful. And I am also very grateful because I have a father like you. What I really wanted to say was thank you. I love you.
Okay, and you sign the letter.
Yes. Love always, Emily Rodriguez.
Okay, and then the second page of the letter is what?
A painting.
Okay, and what does it say?
Happy Father's Day.
Okay. And now defendants exhibit 24. You could read this one aloud.
Dear Daddy, happy birthday. I hope you're having a great day today and every day. Today is a special day for a special someone, you. Plus, as you already know, you're the greatest dad in the whole wide galaxy. Out of the random, I just wanted to say thank you for always being there when I need you. You do a lot of things for me, even though I barely see you. We'll have a great day, and yes, again, happy birthday. Love always, Emily Rodriguez. Emily Lucia Rodriguez, your one and only child. Happy birthday.
And in fact, you put your one and only child in all caps.
Yes.
Is your dad's birthday the 21st of November?
Yes.
Emily, isn't it true that this past summer in 2024 that you were sorry that you had accused your father?
Objection, relevance, Your Honor.
Overrule.
You can answer.
I'm sorry.
Isn't it true that this past summer in 2024 that you were sorry for having accused your father?
Yes.
Isn't it true that this past summer that you told your grandmother that your mom blew this out of proportion?
Objection calls for hearsay, Your Honor.
Overrule.
You can answer.
Yes.
And isn't it true that this past summer that you told your grandmother that you felt guilty?
Yes.
And are all of those things still true?
Yes.
Emily, remember I asked you earlier that we were talking about how you had met with CPS several times,
Yes,
okay? And I asked you if you remembered telling CPS that no one had ever touched you sexually.
ask them, sorry.
That I asked you if you remembered telling CPS that no one had ever touched you sexually. You remember me asking you that?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
sir.
And you said you don't remember saying that.
Right,
Correct. Okay. These, is that your mom's name up there?
yes,
Okay. And right here on the second page, is that your name?
yes.
Okay. And if you can read just that highlighted portion to yourself.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you still say that you did not tell someone that you were never sexually abused?
I don't object. Unlike a letter that the complainant wrote, we don't know who wrote that, and if they did, it certainly wasn't the person on the stand right now, and it's hearsay.
Overruled.
You can answer the question.
I don't know.
You don't remember.
No.
Okay. But this says that you told them that you were never sexually abused.
Objection, Your Honor, reading outside.
Just
the
one
record.
second. That objection will be sustained.
And we would ask that the jury be disregard that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're to disregard the last question and last answer.
Emily, I'm handing you 25. 25 seconds. Emily, I'm handing you what's marked as defendant exhibit 25. These are CPS records. Agree that's your name here at the top,
Yes,
okay? And it's talking about the sexual abuse that you alleged against your father, Alex.
yes,
Okay. And do you remember telling CPS nothing about your anus? That you only talked about your vagina?
I did. I think I did.
Okay, I need you to be more specific. You think you did what?
Talk to them about both parts.
Okay. Read this again and tell me if you stand by what you're testifying.
What was the question, sorry?
Does it say anywhere here that you told them about anyone touching your anus?
No,
It's different than what you testified here today.
I told DA when they came here.
Okay, but that's not my question. That is different from what you testified here today, right?
Yes.
Okay. Judge, at this point, oh, no, thank you. It's, yeah. I mean, you looked at it all.
Oh,
Okay.
let me see. Well.
Judge, can we approach?
Yes.
Emily, you saw the counselor 3 times, correct?
I don't know exactly how many times.
Okay, well, you saw her the day you outcried,
Yes.
and then you saw her again about 4 days later on the 19th.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Right? And then you saw her again the next day on the 20th of,
Yes.
oh, I'm sorry, October 20th.
Yes.
Okay. And the first time you saw her, September 15th, that was the day you outcried that your dad was abusing you.
Yes.
Okay. And then on September 19th, you told her that you feel guilty.
Yes.
And on October 20th, again, you told her you feel guilty.
Yes.
And you never said anything about penetration or your
No,
anus.
No.
And at that time, when you outcried, it wasn't your idea.
Yes.
It was your idea?
Yes. But my friend helped me.
Okay. So your friend told you that you should tell someone.
Yes.
Okay. In fact, he was your boyfriend.
Um.
Okay. He wasn't the guy that you were sneaking out with?
Yes. But he wasn't my boyfriend.
Okay. In fact, you got caught sneaking out with him, correct?
Object to relevance, Your Honor.
Overrule.
You can answer. You got caught sneaking out with him?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did you get caught?
One.
Okay. And you got in trouble?
Yes.
And that was. You also got caught messaging him inappropriately?
No.
You were messaging a boy inappropriately.
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
And I'm sorry, just any boy, not specifically the guy that you were sneaking out with. You were messaging a boy inappropriately.
No.
No? You also remember you were starving yourself at times in 2022, correct?
I wasn't starving myself.
No? There were times you were not eating?
I just wasn't hungry.
Okay, and that was always at your mom's house.
Anywhere. Just wasn't hungry.
Okay, but you would eat at your dad's house.
Right.
Okay, you wouldn't eat at your mom's house because you weren't hungry, but you would eat at your dad's house.
I would eat at my mom's house too.
Okay. And then in May is when you snuck out of the house.
Object to 4-4, Your Honor.
She's,
How it's painted.
I'm sorry.
A 4-4 objection, Your Honor.
All right, that'll be overruled.
you can answer. In May of 2022 is when you snuck out of the house.
Yes.
Okay. And you snuck out, that was your mom's house that you snuck out from.
No, my dad's.
It was your dad's house that,
Christina, yes.
okay. How did you sneak out?
I just walked out the front door.
Okay. And you were caught because there's a ring camera.
Right.
And you actually cut off the internet so that you could sneak out.
No.
No?
No.
And then CPS came to your house in September
I don't know.
of 2022. You don't remember talking to CPS before your outcry?
I don't remember. No.
No? Okay. Why didn't you want to go to Houston when your mom was moving to Houston?
I know my friends in here.
But you told your dad that you wanted to stay here and see him, didn't you?
I don't remember.
Emily, you were having nightmares before the outcry, correct?
Yes,
And when you're saying all of this happened, you were sleeping,
yes.
the abuse? And so you don't know that it wasn't a nightmare.
No, when it happened, I was awake.
Okay. You were awake, not sleeping.
Right?
Okay. And facing the wall.
Typically, yes.
Okay. And you never saw who came into the room.
It was only him that walked in with me.
Okay. You never saw who came into the room.
No,
That's my question. Okay. And then we talked about how you had said that you had tried to kill yourself, but you were at your dad's house and it was the day of the outcry. You remember that?
it wasn't the day.
Right, that's what you told me, right? That I said that and you told me that wasn't true. It wasn't that
Correct.
same day, right?
Correct.
And you said it was at your dad's house, but not that day.
Correct.
Okay. And I said, do you remember telling someone else that it was that day? Remember that?
Yes.
Okay, I want you to look at this. This is 27, Defense Exhibit 27. What, these are child safe records, is that, you agree with me? Okay, and they are related to you, Emily Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay, and that's your date of birth.
Yes.
Okay. This last paragraph, if you'll read that to yourself.
Yes. Right.
Do you want to change your testimony?
No.
No? And so you never told someone it was at your dad's house and it was, you had no plan, but it was the day that you talked to your counselor about what happened to
I
you.
object to reading outside the record, Your Honor.
That would be sustained.
Did you ever say that it was the same day that you talked to the counselor?
I didn't try to kill myself, no, that day.
So any of these records that we have that say that are incorrect. BPS is wrong, child safe is wrong, the police are wrong, everybody else is wrong.
I didn't say that same day, no.
How many times has your mom talked to you about this case?
Objection hearsay.
Overruled.
You can answer.
You can answer the question.
I can't say specifically, I don't know how many times. But I guess she tries to talk to me about it, but I don't talk to her much.
Okay, so she tries to talk to you about it a lot
Yes.
as the witness.
State.
Just a brief redirect, Your Honor. Well, you said on cross-examination that you had felt guilty.
Yes.
Does that mean that this didn't happen?
No.
Did this happen?
Yes.
The things you've spoken about?
Yes.
With respect to the feeling of guilt, can you help us better understand what you mean by that?
I felt bad for how I handled it. I wish I had talked to him about it, but I was too scared to, and so I felt guilty because I felt like I was ruining his life, but that didn't feel right. I don't know. I talked to my friend about it, and he said I shouldn't feel guilty.
I'm gonna just object to hearsay, okay? You can't talk about what someone else.
Sustained.
So you said felt like you were ruining his life. What else did you feel?
Like it was my fault, but I don't know.
Emily, this is a document that defense counsel had shown you previously. They had marked it with a number 25 at the bottom. Do you remember kind of looking at this single page on cross-examination with defense counsel?
Yes.
And they had asked you about things you didn't say with respect to your anus, right, on cross-examination?
Yes.
You can go ahead and take a look at this document again. We're just talking about the single page in direct kind of tandem with what defense had asked on cross. What did you articulate?
I'm sorry.
I'm not object to reading from a document not admitted into evidence.
Your Honor, I'm not, oh, I apologize.
Sustained.
You want to just use this to refresh your memory or recollection? Go ahead and just take a brief look at that.
I'm gonna object. It's not a document that she prepared.
Overruled.
The witness can use anything to refresh, so.
All right, I've made my ruling.
Oh, I'm sorry, Judge.
Thank you.
You feel like your memory is sufficiently refreshed?
Yes.
What did you articulate?
I'm sorry.
What did you say in this paper with respect to what had happened with your father?
I'm gonna again object to reading from documents not in evidence.
Hard to read.
Could I have parties approach?
One more time. Just gonna put this in front of you. Please feel free to take a brief look at it just to kind of refresh your recollection and make sure you kind of have a chance to really look at this before I ask any questions, okay? Just take your time. For cross-examination, you were asked about what you didn't say. I'm asking you, what did you articulate? What did you say? In that document, the page that I showed you just now.
Um, you would make me touch him until he ejaculated, and there was no penetration, and that he touched my private parts.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Any questions?
Yeah, briefly, Judge. Emily, you said private parts, as in you said you're only your vagina, correct?
The document, yes.
You did not mention your anus at all.
No, ma'am.
And yet you testified today that majority of the abuse had to do with your anus.
Yes,
That is significantly different than what you told CPS on that day.
it was both.
And you remember that when I asked you the questions, you didn't remember. But when the state asked you questions, you remember.
Document?
In general. And briefly, I want to go back. You testified earlier that that there was a smell when the abuse was happening.
Yes.
Did you ever tell anyone else about there being a smell?
No.
No. Today was the first time you've ever mentioned the smell.
Oh, no.
No? Who did you tell about a smell before?
I think I told the DA.
You told the DA, but you never told police.
No,
You never told CPS.
don't think so.
And you never told your counselor.
No,
You never told child safe.
no,
There was a lot of things that you didn't tell police, you didn't tell child safe, you didn't tell CPS, and
I'm object to testifying, Your Honor.
Overruled.
there were a lot of things that we've gone over today that you told the DA and you testified here too today, but that's it. You never told them to anybody else. That's the witness.
Two final questions, Your Honor, if I may.
Mhm.
You ever been under oath before?
I'm gonna object to relevance.
Sustained.
Are you unequivocally certain that your father took these actions against you?
yes,
I'm gonna object to bolstering.
Sustained.
No further questions.
I'd ask the jury to disregard the last question and answer.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you disregard the last question and the last answer. Does everyone understand? Any other further questions?
No, Judge.
Nothing from the state.
Is this witness excused or subject for recall?
Subject to recall, Judge.